Welcome to our channel, where we explore the most extraordinary automobiles ever created. In today's video, we're diving deep into the story of the most expensive car ever sold. This is the story of the 1955 Mercedes-Benz 300 SLR Uhlenhaut Coupé, and trust me, by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why someone would pay that astronomical sum for four wheels and an engine. Let's set the scene. It's May 2022, and the automotive world is buzzing with rumors. Behind closed doors at the Mercedes-Benz Museum in Stuttgart, Germany, something unprecedented is happening. This isn't your typical auction with raised paddles and public fanfare. No, this is an invitation-only event, so exclusive that only a handful of the world's wealthiest collectors even knew it was taking place. The car on the block? One of only two 1955 Mercedes-Benz 300 SLR Uhlenhaut Coupé in existence. When the hammer finally fell, the price defied belief and shattered every record in automotive history. But what makes this particular car worth more than a private island, a fleet of super yachts, or even a small country's GDP? The answer lies in a perfect storm of rarity, performance, tragedy, and legend that has never been replicated and likely never will be again. Let's start with the rarity factor, because this is where things get truly insane. When we talk about rare cars, we usually mean limited production runs, maybe a few hundred examples scattered around the globe. The 300 SLR Uhlenhaut Coupé takes rarity to an entirely different dimension. Only two were ever built. Not 200, not 20, two. For more than 6 decades, both of these automotive masterpieces remained locked away in Mercedes-Benz's private collection, hidden from public ownership, admired only by those lucky enough to visit the company's inner sanctum. The 2092 sale marked the first and potentially the only time one of these cars would ever be available for a private buyer. Think about that for a moment. You're not just buying a car, you're buying the one chance in history to own something that was never meant to be owned. Now, let's talk about what this machine actually is, because calling it just a car is like calling the Mona Lisa just a painting. The 300 SLR Uhlenhaut Coupé is essentially a Formula One race car that you could legally drive on public roads. This wasn't some marketing gimmick or a street car with racing aspirations. This was the real deal. It was built on the foundation of Mercedes-Benz's W196 Grand Prix car, the same machine that dominated Formula One and claimed 2 world championships. Imagine taking a championship-winning race car, giving it a stunning body, adding those iconic Gullwing doors, and then somehow making it street legal. That's exactly what Mercedes-Benz did in 1955, and the result was nothing short of automotive sorcery. The performance figures of this car are absolutely mind-blowing, especially when you consider the era. But here's where the story gets even more fascinating. The car's name, Uhlenhaut, isn't just a random designation. It's a tribute to one of the most brilliant and enigmatic figures in automotive history. Rudolf Uhlenhaut was Mercedes-Benz's chief engineer, a man whose technical genius was matched only by his driving skill. This wasn't some desk-bound engineer who theorized about performance. Uhlenhaut was so talented behind the wheel that he once lapped the legendary Nürburgring circuit faster than Juan Manuel Fangio, a 2-time Formula One world champion. Think about the audacity of that. An engineer outpacing one of the greatest racing drivers of all time in a car he himself designed. After Mercedes-Benz cancelled its racing program, Uhlenhaut did something that seems almost unbelievable by today's standards. He took one of these priceless prototypes and used it as his daily company car. Can you imagine commuting to work in what would become the most expensive automobile ever sold? That's the kind of legend that money simply cannot buy. The engineering that went into this car was decades ahead of its time. The body was constructed from a lightweight magnesium alloy called electron, a material so advanced and expensive that it was usually reserved for aerospace applications. This obsessive focus on weight reduction resulted in a car that weighed just 998 kilograms. That's under 2,200 pounds. For context, many modern sports cars weigh nearly twice that much despite all our modern materials and technology. Every single component was engineered for maximum performance and minimum weight. The iconic Gullwing doors weren't just a styling choice, they were a necessity. The car's space frame chassis had such high sills that conventional doors would have been impossible. Function dictated form, and the result was one of the most recognizable silhouettes in automotive history. Under that sculpted hood sat a 3.0-liter straight-eight engine that produced roughly 302 to 310 horsepower. Now that might not sound like much compared to modern supercars pumping out 1,000 horsepower or more, but remember, this was 1955 and this car weighed almost nothing. The power-to-weight ratio was absolutely phenomenal. But raw power was only part of the equation. This engine featured direct fuel injection and desmodromic valve control, technology so advanced that it's still used in high-performance engines today. Desmodromic valves are opened and closed by cams rather than springs, allowing for more precise control and higher engine speeds. This was Formula One technology. In a car you could theoretically drive to the grocery store. The 300 SLR Uhlenhaut Coupé was designed with one purpose in mind: to dominate the 1956 racing season. Mercedes-Benz had already proven their dominance in Formula One, and they were hungry for more victories. The engineering team poured their hearts and souls into these two prototypes, creating what they believed would be an unstoppable racing machine. But then tragedy struck in the most devastating way imaginable. In 1955, at the 24 Hours of Le Mans, another Mercedes 300 SLR race, car was involved in the most catastrophic accident in motorsport history. The car launched into the crowd, and the resulting carnage claimed the lives of more than 80 spectators. The disaster sent shockwaves through the racing world and beyond. Mercedes-Benz, in response to this unimaginable tragedy, made a decision that would change the company forever. They withdrew from all motorsport competition immediately. The 1956 racing season that the Uhlenhaut Coupé was designed to dominate never happened for Mercedes. These two incredible machines built for the racetrack never turned a competitive lap. They became ghosts of what might have been, prototypes of unrealized potential, and that tragic context only adds to their mystique and value. For more than 6 decades, these cars remained in Mercedes-Benz's collection, untouchable symbols of engineering excellence and historical significance. Collectors around the world could only dream of the impossible. Then came 2022, and the impossible became reality. The secret auction was unlike anything the automotive world had ever seen. The bidders had been carefully vetted, the location was kept under wraps, and when the final bid came in at $143 million, it obliterated the previous record by nearly $90 million. But here's what makes this story even more remarkable. Mercedes-Benz didn't pocket that astronomical sum. Every single dollar from the sale was dedicated to establishing the Mercedes-Benz Fund, a global scholarship program focused on environmental science and decarbonization. The most expensive car in history, a machine built for pure speed and performance, is now funding the education of students who will work to create a more sustainable future. There's something profoundly poetic about that. So what does $143 million actually buy you? It buys you a piece of unrepeatable history. It buys you one of 2 examples of a car that was never meant to be sold. It buys you a machine that represents the absolute peak of 1950s engineering, a road-legal Formula One car that could outrun anything on 4 wheels. It buys you the legacy of Rudolf Uhlenhaut, a genius who used his creation as a daily driver. It buys you a connection to both the glory and the tragedy that defined an era of motorsport. If you found this story as fascinating as we did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the world's most extraordinary vintage automobiles. We've got plenty more incredible stories to share, and trust us, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.